Hi everyone, welcome to Cindy's Art. I'm Cindy and today we are going to do a loose lavender field painting, and I pulled the reference picture from unsplash.com. And you're aware that I use Arches watercolor paper and Holbein paint, and I am starting to use some other types of paints that I'm going to introduce you to. Some of those you'll see on this video actually. It's great to try new materials. So I used about a 9 by 12 size of paper, and I taped it down to a very hard board. But I used painter's tape. That blue tape there is simply painter's tape. I taped it down to the board, my paper, so that way I could have. And when I put in wet water on the sky area, I did not wet everything down. I went around the flower heads, and the other thing was I just sloppily threw water on there. And why did I do that? Well, one, I don't want to paint all of the sky. I want this to be loose. I'm going to make this dark blue darker by adding in some straight ultramarine blue. Now that is ultramarine blue deep Holbein paint, and then I'm going to add in a little bit more of cerulean blue, which is a lighter blue. That's what I'm playing with up at the top there right now. Now I wanted to lay in a little bit of the darker parts of the lavender, and that helps me just get some ideas of where I'm going to have my lavender heads. What do I need to protect? And I need to make sure that I'm going to leave some white so I have some really nice light color. I'm using QOR Brand, QOR. Painting around some of the stems. So what I'm going to do is develop this grassy area. This is a great way for me to make sure that my flower heads on top are, drying really well. And I'm going to work wet on wet again. And I'm sloppily. I am not being exact. I'm just throwing some paint in here around the flower stem. So I've got my sketch already laid down, and I'm going to follow that. And in the background, I don't want things to look like exact little grass blades, so I'm going to mix the colors. The best way to mix them is to do your wet on wet. So I will let my colors mix a lot on my palette, and the way that I did that was adding in some of these browns, a tiny bit of purple, and a little bit of out. So I'm going to continue with adding water in, adding color in, and just developing behind the stems. So this is going to be kept very soft. You're going to see me add a little bit of water down, and maybe take a squirt bottle and squirt a tiny bit of water. And squirting water very gently in an area like this, it's going to help the watercolor run. And I think one of the most to get this light color for my flower heads, I really love the color Opera. I cannot lie. I'll mix a little bit of Opera with that diazinon purple, and I'll leave a lot more of that Opera pink like present and just a tiny bit of the other. I might add a tiny ultramarine blue in there, but the bottom line is I like my pinks. And just from playing around with colors and painting for a while, I gotta have my pink in there. So a lot of Opera, and all I'm doing is dabbing this in. And I want you to see what this looks like. This is part of the finished picture, but look at that pink that's mixed in there. There's white space left, and this is not supposed to be a photo. And leaving that white space will help with the highlights later. So as I dab that on, I let that dry, and now we're gonna head into some more of the darker details of the painting. First off, what I want to do is take a little bit of shadow green mixed with some olive green, and I am going to paint not all of the stem, but I'm going to add some shadow in to some of the lines of the stems. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of shadow that goes along around that the lighter pink petals of the lavender. I'm using a little bit of leaf green and sap green. Mix it together. There's a lot of yellow vibrancy in that, and I'm going to add another layer of that later on, but I want those stems to I'm rotating around the picture now. I want to make sure I add in some more of the additional stems, any other details for the flower heads. Usually you'll paint the general backgrounds nice and loose, then you'll add a little bit of your middle details, which is not defining what's in the picture still. So I added some water into this, and then I added in some nice dark ultramarine blue deep in there. Now on the bottom, I decided I'm going to darken up this side too, because I really want your eyes to go to this left section. And so I used the same colors I did before, a little bit of the burnt sienna, some of the QOR, the QOR diazonine purple, and I added another layer in here. I probably will add a little bit of opera in here. That's my tendency. I love that color. Making the illusion of soft flower heads in this field. Look how dark that's getting on the bottom now. It's really going to make that thing pop. And I'm going to have to continue that around the bottom. So this is finished. I would love to hear how yours turned out. And if you have not subscribed, I'd love you to join me the next time. We'll see you guys next time. Bless you.